Greetings, Guardians. This is Olympus Alliance, and today we're diving into the Dominion's legendary berserker, Ju. A warrior unlike any other, Ju has always stood out as one of the most brutal marksmen in Hero Wars Alliance. He doesn't rely on fancy tricks or clever spells, he's pure rage, pure damage, and pure destruction when unleashed at the right moment. But as always, power comes with weaknesses, and knowing how to build, support, and counter Ju makes the difference between watching him shred entire teams, or watching him fall flat before his rampage even begins. So sit back, because today we're covering everything: Ju's skills, his builds, his glyphs, artifacts, skins, talismans, and even the heroes who can shut him down. By the end of this, you'll know exactly how to unlock his true potential. Let's begin with his skills, because Ju's identity starts here. His first skill is called "You Will Not Stop Me." And let me tell you, Guardians, the name is no exaggeration. When activated, Ju becomes enraged for 7 full seconds. During this rage, he gains an insane 180% attack speed bonus, and, here's the real kicker, he cannot die. That's right, he becomes temporarily immortal. You can hit him, you can drop meteors, poison, stuns, none of it will kill him during this time. He just keeps swinging. The result is devastating if your team isn't prepared. If he locks onto a vulnerable hero during these seconds, that hero is as good as gone. But this isn't just about Ju himself. Every time he activates this skill, his weapon artifact also triggers, granting his whole team a boost in critical hit chance. That means allies like Elmir or Dark Star, who don't have strong native crit scaling, suddenly become lethal. If you pair Ju with someone like Martha, who can also speed up his attacks with her Foremother's Oath, the battlefield turns into absolute carnage. This skill is Ju at his finest, unstoppable, relentless, and deadly. But it comes with a cost. That leads us to his second skill, "I Will Take Your Life." Each of Ju's attacks now deals bonus pure damage to the target. This is percent-based, scaling with the enemy's current health. That means the more health the opponent has, the harder Ju hits them. Tanks with massive health pools suddenly aren't safe. But here's the trade-off: every strike also costs Ju 2% of his own current health. He is literally sacrificing himself to tear apart his enemy. Now, this damage isn't just a drawback, it actually creates powerful synergies. Pair him with Aiden, who benefits from allies sacrificing health to boost his fire-based powers, or Zesha, who thrives when allies trigger boosts to magic attack. Together, you create ripple effects that transform Ju's sacrifice into a team-wide advantage. Combine this with Mojo's Hex, which mirrors damage based on heavy strikes, and you'll see enemies crumbling twice as fast. It's a dangerous dance, but in the right hands, it's glorious. Next comes his third skill, "I See You." This one is the nightmare of every backline hero. With this skill active, Ju locks onto a ranged enemy, gains increased attack power, and relentlessly focuses on that target. If you've got a fragile backliner, think Martha, Celeste, or even Nebula, Ju will sniff them out and tear them down. He doesn't waste time on tanks. He doesn't get distracted. He simply says, "I see you," and that hero is in serious trouble. Paired with Nebula or Sebastian, who can amplify his power and protect him from debuffs, this ability makes him one of the best backline assassins in the game. Finally, his fourth skill, "The Spirits Will Heal Me." After activating his rage, if Ju isn't controlled or stunned, he regenerates a chunk of health. The more physical attack you stack on him, the more powerful this regeneration becomes. This is where his design really shines. His immortality keeps him alive during the storm, and once it ends, he patches himself back up, provided the enemy didn't control him. This is why control heroes are his biggest weakness, but we'll get to counters soon. So now you understand Ju's core. He is raw power. He's a hero who sacrifices himself to deal percent-based damage, becomes unkillable when enraged, targets the backline with precision, and even regenerates when left unchecked. But all this power means nothing without the right build. Let's talk about how to maximize him. Starting with items of rank. Ju is a marksman, belongs to the way of nature, and fights from the middle line. His focus is all about damage with just enough survivability to reach his rage safely. During the violet stages, prioritize items that give him physical attack and armor penetration. Gear like Dragon Tooth and Morina's Glaive are crucial. As you move into the orange rankings, Song of the Valkyries and Staff of Stubbornness will amplify his power even more. By the time you hit orange +3 or +4, he'll be fully functional in both PvP and dungeon battles. Don't overcommit too early, he scales beautifully once you balance penetration and attack power. Skins come next, and this is where many players go wrong. Ju has 5 skins: his default strength skin, armor penetration, magic defense, critical hit chance, and physical attack. Your top priority should always be armor penetration. This unlocks his true damage potential, letting him bypass defenses that would otherwise nullify his strikes. Without penetration, Ju is a blunt sword. Second, focus on his critical hit chance skin. This doubles the impact of his already fast, high damage strikes, turning them into backline killers. After that, move into physical attack skins to scale both his regular and skill-based damage. The default strength skin is a solid 4th choice, adding a bit of health and attack as a bonus. Finally, his magic defense skin comes last. It's situationally useful but not essential. If Ju ever gets another armor penetration or crit skin in the future, that will shoot straight to the top of the list. Now onto glyphs. Ju's 5 glyphs are physical attack, health, armor penetration, critical hit chance, and strength. Again, start with armor penetration, it's the lifeblood of his kit. Without it, he simply doesn't punch through. Next is critical hit chance, which turns his barrage into deadly blows. Third comes physical attack, scaling all his main skills. Fourth is strength, which adds survivability and boosts attack. And last is health, because while useful, Ju already sacrifices his own health constantly and benefits more from offense than pure bulk. Level them all to 40 in the mid-game, and only push further if you're chasing skill class power. Artifacts are where things get interesting. His weapon artifact boosts the team's critical hit chance every time he rages. His book adds more physical attack and critical chance, while his ring scales strength, his main stat. The absolute top priority is his book artifact. This directly powers up his damage and gives him the crit chance he needs. Second priority is his weapon artifact, because giving your whole team more crit is always valuable, especially when paired with marksmen or warriors. His ring comes last, it's nice for scaling, but far less impactful than the other two. Gift of the Elements is simple, max it out. Go for strength and physical attack all the way. Ju's damage and survivability rely heavily on these stats. Without them, he's too fragile to survive until his rage kicks in. With them, he becomes the monster you want him to be. Talismans are next. Ju has 2, one with strength and critical hit chance, and another with physical attack and armor. Both are excellent. The first is easier to get and should be your initial priority. The second is harder, but once you have it, it rounds out his build perfectly. A Ju without talismans can still work, but with them, he becomes a late-game powerhouse. Now let's talk about his place in teams. Ju shines when supported by allies who amplify his strengths and cover his weaknesses. Nebula and Sebastian are classic partners, boosting his damage and protecting him from debuffs. Mojo adds synergy with his Hex, doubling down on Ju's heavy strikes. Aiden pairs well by boosting his team's survivability while Ju does the killing. And don't underestimate Elmir, whose clones benefit from Ju's Crete aura, creating chaos across the battlefield. With the right setup, Ju becomes the centerpiece of any nature-heavy lineup. But, Guardians, we have to talk about his weaknesses, because knowing how to counter him is just as important. Control is Ju's kryptonite. Heroes like Jorgen, Faceless, Arachne, and Judge can stop him cold by preventing his rage or locking him down before he gets going. Helios is another brutal counter, punishing Ju's heavy reliance on critical hits. Celeste can flip his healing into damage, leaving him vulnerable after rage ends. Martha, surprisingly, can also withstand his focus, healing through his barrage if she's properly built. And heroes like Juri can force Ju to waste his fury on tanky defenses instead of fragile backliners. If you want to stop Ju, you need either control, reflect, or targeted anti-Crete mechanics. Without those, he will run wild. And that's the full picture of Ju, Guardians. He is one of the purest embodiments of aggression in Hero Wars Alliance. A hero built on rage, sacrifice, and precision targeting. Build him with armor penetration and creep chance, support him with the right allies, and he will tear through teams like a storm. But never forget, he is also vulnerable. Play him smart, play him supported, and he becomes a legend on your roster. So what do you think about Ju? Have you built him as your backline assassin? Have you seen him completely destroy a team during his immortal rage? Drop your stories and strategies in the comments, I'd love to hear them. And as always, Guardians, stay tuned, stay sharp, and salute and friendship.